What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello.
I'm still, really discombobulated after last week, because I feel like that the story hasn't completely gone away yet, as will be evidenced by when we get to the news this week. But thank God that Activision Blizzard hasn't dominated the news cycle, so we can get back to talking about what's important in the games industry. And that, of course, is NFTs.
God damn it.
So we've got that to look forward to, which is very exciting. But you know what else is exciting? A little game from a little studio called Drinkbox Studios, known for such titles as Severed and the Guacamelee series. Well, they came out with a brand new game that's on Game Pass last week called Nobody Saves the World. And Micah, have you played Nobody Saves the World?
Not yet. I haven't really played much of anything, but I am looking forward to it.
Well, you should really look forward to it because this game fucking rocks. Nobody Saves the World does. So basically what Nobody Saves the World is, it is a top-down isometric action RPG. And you would be, you'd take a look at it and you're like, wow, this looks a lot like Legend of Zelda. And to some extent, sure. Especially in the way the map is laid out and just the way the game looks. But it is actually Diablo. And it is Diablo in the best ways. Because you have a story that you're progressing.
Whoa. It's Diablo in the best ways. So you mean to tell me there's a real money auction house?
No. In fact, not at all. And I don't think that I've seen a joke reference, but it's a Drinkbox game, so I'm sure there's many jokes and referential humor that I've yet to uncover yet. So you start the game as a nobody. Like, literally, he's called Nobody because you wake up in this, shack and you have amnesia and you don't know who you are. And you find out, the town wizard, whose name escapes me right now, but it's very grandiose sounding, is missing. And there's, this calamity that has struck the world. And you stumble into the wizard's house, and then his, douchebag apprentice comes in. Randy the apprentice is very much like your classic Drinkbox sort of antagonistic character in many ways. But you find the wizard's magic wand. And what the wand allows you to do is it allows you to change forms at will. And so the forms in this game basically act as classes, for lack of a better term. But it's not like Diablo where there's 6 classes. There's 18 different classes in this game that you can switch to at will. The first one that you switch to is a tiny rat who can gnaw enemies and poison them. And each class is leveled separately. And the way that you level those classes up is a never-ending treadmill of quests that are presented to you. So, Micah, while I think you're going to like this game, it is going to give you specifically incredible quest log anxiety because you are getting quests thrown at you constantly in terms of different things to do. But the first couple of quests that you get when you first level up, when you first get a form, are pretty, use this ability X number of times and inflict this status X number of times. But as you level the characters up, what gets very cool is twofold. You can start equipping passive attributes from other classes onto these different classes, and you end up getting new abilities as well as you level the class up as well. And you can also swap in abilities from other classes as well, so you can mix and match a lot of the different abilities, which is, if you like making builds. And I'm not talking about really complex builds that require a lot of hunting for armor and things like that. But if you just like to kind of theory craft builds, it's just fucking great.
Yeah, it sounds like a variation, a little more of a It sounds like the job system in like a Final Fantasy, where
Yeah.
you have a main job and then a sub job, and everything up to that sub job, all the abilities up to your sub job level, you have access to, no matter what your main job is. And
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that a
It's
lot.
it's very cool. And then the quests start getting more complex. So they're like, hey, you as the rat, use this special flexibility from the bodybuilder and damage enemies like oh, and that's the other thing too. The classes, so like here's an example of like the classes. There's the rat, there's a bodybuilder, there's your typical like ranger and guard, there's a magician, and I'm not talking about like a mage, but like a top hat with the rabbit magician that you can be. There's a slug. There's a grotesque looking mermaid. You can be a zombie. The cool thing about the zombie is that you're constantly losing HP because your flesh is decaying as you go. But then you can infect other enemies, and when they die, they become zombies that will fight alongside you as familiars. Basically, they have a robot. They have an egg, like a literal egg that you roll around.
Egg?
Yeah, an egg. They have a turtle. They have like they have all sorts of wacky classes. And it is Diablo-esque in that as the classes get more powerful, you do feel very OP. Like you can chain certain abilities together to kind of run through enemy mobs. But then that's where the dungeons come into play. So they have a couple different dungeons. And it's interesting because they have like they're called Demi Dungeons, which are like shorter and they're usually a little bit simpler. Just to get some loot, and they're procedurally generated. So, if you die, it's going to be a different layout slightly when you come back in. But then they have like the main quest dungeons. And what's cool about those is they have, so there's 4 damage types in the game. And I appreciate they didn't go with the typical like fire, water, whatever. Like it's poison, light, blunt, and dark and I can't remember what the other one is. But sharp is the other damage type. So, but the other dungeons are basically have modifiers attached to them. So like enemies that are in the dungeon will have protective wards around them, and you can't damage them until they receive damage of a particular type. And the dungeon will tell you like what types of wards will be available that you would encounter, so you can make your builds before you go in, and then you can go in and have test your builds and make sure they're good to get through these challenging areas. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's really neat is they have modifiers on them. So like they have one dungeon where when enemies die, they explode, their corpses explode and throw like bones at you. So you have to like watch out when enemies die. Otherwise, you might take extra damage. They have one dungeon where all damage from both you and from enemies is multiplied by 9,999 times. So basically it's a one hit. So it's essentially like a one hit kill dungeon. Like you kill enemies in one hit, but they also kill you in one hit. And you have to get through, like you have to make it to the boss of the dungeon. Otherwise you start back over from the beginning essentially. So like that, there's challenges there as well. They don't have like platforming challenges like Guacamelee does, obviously, but they do have like the action adventure equivalent of those, where they have like challenge rooms where you have to have a specific build or have and use your skills to the extent of their abilities in order to clear those out. It's a crazily good game. Also, it's a drink box game, so you're gonna get like crazy characters and it's gonna be hilarious, and it's gonna have that very particular art style which works for the game. It's pretty great.
I'm looking forward to
yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing it. I like drink box games. They're they're one of the few indie developers that I will admit to. It's not even admit. I really like the games that they make.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to this. Matter of fact, I gotta download it right now.
Yeah.
I've just been busy.
Like I said, it took a bit to get going because like those when you're kind of limited in what you can do because those first couple classes, like you're relying on the gameplay mechanics. Like the game really is fucking with those builds and using your abilities in different combinations. Like I have, one of my characters right now, basically like between the passive buffs that I have,
Mhm.
inflicts like all statuses on every enemy when I attack them, essentially. So like they're getting poisoned, they're getting slowed, and like I said, the characters fall into the tropes. So like the bodybuilder, like he's big and slow, but he does a shitload of damage, and like his main attack is he literally takes like a bench press barbell and smashes it into enemies. So like it hits enemies in a wide arc and for a lot of damage, and he can like pump himself up to do more damage. And he can like spin his fist around like he's Zangief essentially, like as like working in the room and stuff like that. So like things like that's the kind of shit that you're dealing with here, in terms of that. So, but it's a tremendously fun game. If you have Game Pass, definitely check it out. And when this game does eventually come out on the Switch, I'm probably gonna buy it and and play it again
Yeah,
on there. Like that's how much.
yeah,
Yeah,
this feels like a Switch game.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Good. I'm very much looking forward to this, and I just need to find it, and I'll find it later.
It's really
But
good. Like I said, it's kind of flying under the radar, which disappoints me because it's a like if it came out last year, it would have been in my top five, and I'm only like halfway through the game at this point. I can already tell you that it would have been up there. So
wow, yeah, it's getting really good reviews. Like everyone seems to love it. I just don't. Maybe it's just this like time period. Maybe it's everybody's still reeling from the $70 billion.
yeah.
It's like wow.
Well, it's
But
also in a strange spot because it's coming out just a couple weeks before like the Horizon Elden Ring, you know, apocalypse that's about to fall upon us.
yeah, yeah. February is about to be a pretty good month for video games.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of crazy. What's not a real decent week for video games is this week. Here's the releases. I don't haven't heard of most of these games, but we'll go through the list. Hidden Deep, available on PC. Reverie Knights Tactics, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. This is a turn-based tactical game. Serious Sam, Siberian Mayhem on PC. Diplomacy is not an option on PC.
Serious.
Serious Sam. He's still around. Kingdom of the Dead on PC. Circuit Superstars on PS4. Deflector on PC. Rugby 22 for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. I think it's Vagante. It comes out on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Zenith The Last City on PC, Quest 2, and PlayStation VR is a VR game, of course. Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out on Nintendo Switch. Return 2, that's not Return, but Return 2 Runaway comes to PC, Xbox, and Switch. And the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection comes to PlayStation 5. This is the remastered, remastered again, Uncharted series.
Yeah.
The re-remaster.
So what are they doing with that? Just making it 60 frames?
I would assume
Because it
that
already looks pretty great.
Well, I would assume Uncharted 4 is probably getting 4K 60 upgrades, and also like I don't know if they're adding like ray tracing and stuff like that. That'd be kind of crazy if they did that.
Yeah.
It's gonna look real good.
It better. It's a $50 release, man. Like
Micah,
better.
Uncharted 4 came out almost 6 years ago, if you can believe it.
Jesus Christ.
If you wanted to feel ancient.
Where has the time gone?
It's complete. Well, think of how, I mean, it's weird. Like Uncharted 4, the earliest vanguard of tentpole PS4 games, really, when you think about it. Because think about all the games that have come out since Uncharted 4. We've had God of War, we've had Horizon Zero Dawn, we've had Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Like think of all these games that have released that have felt like they've been around for a long time. And they all predated or postdated Uncharted 4. Also even third-party stuff like Resident Evil 7 even was post Uncharted 4. Monster Hunter World was after Uncharted 4.
It's I like the Uncharted series. They're not really like the best games, but in terms of like interactive movies, like this and The Last of Us, obviously are really really good looking titles. But all those games you've rattled off
Mm-hmm.
are have actual like gameplay mechanics that aren't like duck behind waist high cover and then pop up and shoot. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's essentially what Uncharted basically is, right? Like with rudimentary puzzles thrown in to break up the action. But the fact that like you look at like Ghost of Tsushima
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like yeah, Uncharted is amazing, but like Ghost of Tsushima is phenomenal. And like if you want to see what progression is in gaming, like it's right there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if people really appreciate what is the what can be done with these systems. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty I don't know. I'm awed by it. You know what I mean? Like
Now
it
here's
just
now
it's
here's my
cool.
question: if you have Uncharted 4 already, do you get those upgrades? That's something we're gonna have to figure out.
Yeah, because I look, I wouldn't mind playing it, but I'm not going to rebuy it. Like I refuse.
Yeah. Oh, did I tell you I finally gave up on God of War and just read the not only read the spoilers but watched like the last boss fight and the ending on YouTube.
Oh man, I mean, I'm glad you did,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I feel like you get a little more out of it when you play it. You know
Well,
what I mean? Like
here's the issue though. So like same thing. I did the same thing with Horizon because I
I
I can't
tried.
I can't I can't play because I did this once. I did this with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Where when Brotherhood came out, I got it. I started playing it, and I put it down. And then Revelations was coming out, so I'm like, all right, I only got like a third of the way through Brotherhood. I'm gonna fucking mainline this game so that I can finish it before Revelations comes out. So I mainlined it. I put my head down. Pretty much just did the story exclusively. I didn't really do any side quests.
Yeah,
And finished the game. And then I did this like in like I think Revelations came out in November. I did this in like September October for Brotherhood. And then Revelations came out and I was like I am Assassin's Creeded out right now.
yeah. Look, I get burnt out sometimes.
Yeah.
Look, I get it, man. Like that game the game has to be something really special for me to just want to keep playing and keep playing and keep playing.
Yeah.
So I understand what the burnout is. Like I tried to do it with Horizon,
Yeah.
right? Because the game is really good, but I never finished it and I didn't go back to it. So I found my old save, put it in my uploaded it to the cloud or whatever. Basically, I got everything hooked up so that I can play it on my PS5. And I jumped in. At first, I started from the beginning, and I was like, "Ugh, I don't want to go through all this again."
There's a lot that happens in that game.
Right. Let me just kind of hope that my memory refreshes. It didn't, but I got my old save, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I can just kind of finish it out just to finish it.
Hmm.
And I couldn't. Like, I just couldn't do it. It was the burnout because I don't really care for that series enough to want to cram all that in
Hmm.
to try and play the sequel. And two, I realize I just don't care for this world, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't like this. I don't like these characters. I don't like the way any of them look. I don't, you know. And so I even read up on like I even read up the story and all that, and it just didn't seem terribly interesting to me. It's a
I see
unique.
that's where I will differ with you. I think the lore in that game is among the best of like the PlayStation original properties. Yes, I'm including Last of Us. Yes, I'm including
Oh well,
God of War, God of War draws from other mythologies. That's kind of a cheat, but like this
right.
is, like I said, I think this is a very compelling science fiction story. It's just so much game. Like it's so much
It's a
game.
lot, man.
It's a
It's a
lot of
lot.
game, which isn't a bad thing. Like I like that. I mean, it's certainly rather that than the alternative. But you know,
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. It just doesn't it doesn't do it for me. And it's a shame because I like Aloy as a protagonist.
Yeah.
I just yeah. So I'll be skipping out on Horizon
Oh, you're
West
skipping
Coast
it
Edition.
entirely.
Yeah, I'm skipping it, man. I can't afford to just buy games like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I gotta be a little more frugal.
my problem is that I'm more excited to play Elden Ring than I am that, and Forbidden West comes out a week before Elden Ring does, and so I'm not gonna like get started playing Forbidden West and then put it down in a
Right.
weekend. Like that's stupid.
Right. That's exactly what would happen. That's exactly
Yeah.
what happened the first time.
Well, and the other problem is that for me, Gran Turismo 7 comes out in March, so like that'll probably be when I'm done with Elden Ring. But then GT7 comes out, and that's like, I mean, I put 80 hours into GT Sport last year. I can't even imagine like how much I'm going to be playing. Because like, well, PlayStation just sent out their like year in review thing for everybody. So like, I checked that out, and not surprisingly, like GT Sport was the number 2 game that I played on PlayStation last year. I'll give you one guess as to what number 1 was.
I'm assuming it was the same one that was mine.
Yeah, so most likely. So I honestly I don't know when I'm going to get to Forbidden West, and my fear is that like it's going to come out, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to play it. But then, like the week it comes out, like people are going to be like, 10 out of 10 game of the year. Like it's the most, I'll just and then the FOMO will set it, even though I'm probably realistically not going to be able to get to it until like April.
Yeah, I would wait. I would wait. And look, I understand that it's me telling you to wait. Like that don't mean nothing. But yeah, I would wait. I would even wait for a sale, me myself personally. But
I'm not willing to wait that long.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the summer seems like milder because like I don't give a shit about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and a couple other games that are coming out in the summertime. So we'll see.
I forgot Tiny Tina's Wonderland was a thing. I really did.
I'm really like I said, we'll see what that game looks like when it comes out. I'm really disappointed that they didn't take the opportunity to take this game and do something like different with it. Instead, they're just like, let's just do Borderlands, but with D&D tropes, essentially.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it pretty much seems like they're doing, which,
Yeah, like it's just guns in a medieval setting.
Yeah.
Like, all right. All right. Hey everybody. Go to densepixels.com/fans to join our Discord. Look, man, we talk about a lot of stuff in there, but the one I haven't watched a lot of wrestling lately because it's just been trash all around.
Nor have I.
But the one thing that I will watch no matter what is the Royal Rumble. And
that's this weekend, isn't it?
That's Saturday. So
Saturday?
Well, the 2 very important football games are happening on Sunday. I don't think the WWE wants to counter program.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So look. Hopefully the wrestling channel will be on and popping, as the youth say. And you can get to that by going to densepixels.com/fans. And while you're there on the internet, on your browsers, on your Chromes and your Firefoxes and your Safaris and your what does Microsoft calls theirs? The
Edge.
Not Edge. Stupid. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe there. You can see me in my mood lighting because I'm very tired and I don't want my overhead light on because it's very harsh on the eyes.
Yeah. And you can see me with my poor lighting because my camera doesn't want to quite cooperate today. Because my Mac just had an update. And of course, peripherals software never updates when the Mac updates. So that's how it goes.
So go to youtube.com/densepixels, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. And while you're smashing and subscribe to all of our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. We do the Nerdpocalypse We're going to have a special guest on, my buddy Rob from another show that I guest on. Black on Black Cinema, which we're recording right after this episode that you're hearing right now.
That explains why I'm not doing Look Forward today.
Yes. Coming distractions. I can't remember what the last coming distraction.
It was the Tragedy of Macbeth, I believe, was the last one that came out. And that was a 23-minute review, which means that Jay probably had a lot to say.
Yeah, it was, it was, well, Jay's a snob, and as such, he was like, well, he has, Macbeth. I'm a big Macbeth guy. I love Macbeth.
Well, what a confluence. I mean, it's Macbeth, it's Denzel, Francis McDormand, the Coen brothers. Like, it's,
It's, I mean, it is all, you name all those heavy hitters,
that's
and
right.
yeah, the movie's really good. Surprise, surprise.
I need to make time for it because I'm a huge. I love the Coen films. So
yeah, it's I love it. I absolutely love it. And you get the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast, which I'm assuming will be recorded tomorrow.
Probably.
Look, man, look. Go to densepixels.com/premium. Just do it, and plunk down. Just plunk. It's $5. It's $5, and you really help us out. You see all this fancy stuff, all this fancy blue, and all these separate screens. That's because you're helping. That's because you are helping with your $5. So
that's right. Not all of it gets embezzled, just some of it.
Yeah. Now that he has his and her Teslas, he can finally start investing back into the programs. Go to densepixels.com/premium. Get a bunch of other podcasts, including the Airing of Grievances. Dude, we are. I don't know if he's released the second to last episode of season 7, the Wait Out, but we have recorded it, and we are one episode away from finishing season 7. And that episode will be the invitations, and I want to record it so bad. No time to.
Quick aside, like, so the season finale of season 8 was on the other day, and so I watched that. Like I said, I just love when he goes back to the invitation shop to order some more things. He's like, weren't you in here like recently? And he's like, yeah, wedding invitations last year. She's like, oh, how'd that go? No complaints.
Y'all are such horrible people, man. They're such horrible people. I love it. You can never do it again. You can never have that show in this climate. I love it. Look, Aaron Grievances says, No Time to Bleed, The Man with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversations, and the full hour and a half to 2 hour-ish episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast is what you need to do when you go to densepixels.com/premium.
So we have some residuals from the big Microsoft Activision acquisition last week.
Let me guess. People panicked.
So not to get too look forward-y on the video game show. Keep your politics out of my video games. There's a large contingent of people who use like the stock market as like a barometer of the economy. And I cannot begin to explain to you how reckless and irresponsible it is to do that.
I mean, you might as well use a slot machine to.
You literally should, because the problem with the stock market is it's not representative of the actual economy because it's a bunch of fucking rich people playing casino games with their money essentially, and B, the stock market is incredibly overreactionary when major things happen. Case in point. The Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which saw Sony's stock price in Tokyo drop by 13% in a day, which, in case you're wondering how much that equates to, that would be $20 billion in their market value dropping off because of something that another company did. In case you're wondering, that's the largest stock dip that Sony's had since October 2008. The thing that caused that to happen was that Sony had to recall 100,000 laptop batteries because they were a fire hazard. That was something they did do. This is something they didn't do. Meanwhile, other Japanese publishers, Square Enix, Capcom, Konami, had their shares rise by 5%, and Ubisoft's price raised by 11% because investors say, "Wow, Microsoft's on a buying
Microsoft's
spree.
just going to buy everything
Right,
now,
just throwing all this fucking money out there." So clearly, we need to get in on the ground floor now. Because they're going to be these stocks are going to be worth so much when Microsoft pays 150% of market cap to buy these fucking people. So again, stop using the stock market as a gauge of how a company's doing or economy or things of that nature, because it doesn't fucking matter. The Sony price has been steadily on the rise, of course, since the massive drop, because that's what also happens when the market chills the fuck out and realizes that the sky isn't falling, people start buying stock again. So,
Jesus Christ! I mean, like it's to a point where it's such a trope. Like you look at movies about like the stock market and in the that are especially ones that are set in the 80s, and it's like everyone's on the floor, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Like everybody, calm down.
Yeah.
Everybody, calm down. Look, if you are the type of person that thinks that the console wars are still a thing, I'm happy for you. You can chalk this up as a W until everything kind of levels itself out, and then you can go back to warring with your imaginary rivals. But yeah, everybody panicked. Calm down. Sony's not going anywhere. Microsoft certainly ain't going nowhere.
No.
And yeah. And fucking Konami. Everybody that bought a stock in Konami, like, go fuck yourselves. Like, seriously.
Again, if the Wall Street Bets fiasco with GameStop last year didn't teach you that the stock market was a fucking game,
right?
I don't know what possibly could. Like it is so easy to manipulate. Again, like fictional movie, but we've all seen Trading Places. A great crash course and had its short stocks and make a shitload of money in a very short amount of time. It's a game. It's a rich people's game, and they freak out at anything that happens like this. Believe me, the next now what's interesting is that I do feel like there's a lot of speculation that Sony's going to be pressured to respond, and not necessarily respond on the level of Activision where they're paying $70 billion to buy a company, but like Square Enix is the name that gets bandied about the most with Sony, just because it makes a lot of sense. The two companies have partnered together a lot over the years. It's a Japanese-centric company that sells a lot of games that are popular in Japan, so they much more fit in line with Sony's stable than Microsoft's. So they're also a fairly affordable pickup, quite honestly. Their market evaluation is around $7 billion right now. And so, like, you think at worst you'd have to pay like 15 to get them if you wanted to bring them in. So, a lot of scuttlebutt there, but no real smoke. Just people idly speculating.
Yeah, a lot of armchair stockbrokers are it's easy to play around with money when it ain't yours. But yeah, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down.
Now
it'll be fun.
In an interesting kind of related story, Sony put out a statement that's saying like they expect Microsoft to, honor the agreement signed when it comes to things like Call of Duty and other games that are multi-platform, in the wake of this acquisition. So Phil Spencer put out an interesting tweet, and a lot of people read this tweet. Well, I'll read the tweet and then I'll talk about the reaction to it. So this is a verbatim tweet from Phil Spencer last week. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on the PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. Now, a lot of folks read that tweet and they're like, "Oh, you see, Call of Duty is going nowhere in terms of the PlayStation." And I say to those people, you better reread that statement again, because that is very carefully worded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of words there. Existing agreements.
Yes.
You better believe that if they're shelling out this much money, they're not going to just let they're not going to do it. Now, I don't know what kind of Netflix style metrics like Microsoft is working with. Obviously, Game Pass is the thing that they want you to have,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they also still want to sell Xboxes, guys. Like, don't get it twisted.
Kind of.
Yeah. Like, don't get it twisted, right? Like, and they're not gonna spend this much money on these incredibly marquee properties
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of hand them out. Like, I like Phil. Phil does a very good job at being the friendly businessman, right? Like, but he's still a businessman,
Yeah.
and he's not stupid. Quite the opposite. He is. I'm not gonna say he's like Bobby Kotick levels of a businessman type, but he's a businessman, guys. And he just is a businessman with who knows how to spin and has very good PR and is incredibly good at being the front face of a company. Like, and it takes skill to do that, man. Like, mad respect for him. But like, nah, yo, like, don't get it twisted, man. Like, couple of years from now, like, Call of Duty is going to be Xbox only. It is.
Well, funny you say that. So the other scuttlebutt and speculation, I think you're right, Micah. I think that it will be Microsoft only, but I think it will
Microsoft only.
I think it will be Game Pass only, and that's an important distinction to make, because what a lot of other folks are speculating is that Microsoft, part of this acquisition, is to put pressure on Sony to do what would otherwise be unthinkable, and that is to put Game Pass on PlayStation, or to allow Game Pass to be on PlayStation, which is an interesting thing to frame. Because think about it, you're Microsoft, right? Right now, your existing customer base is people that own Xboxes or are planning on buying one, or people that have PCs in terms of Game Pass right now. There's I don't know how many of the 110 million PS4 owners, and how many of the, what are we up to, 15 probably million PlayStation 5 owners that are out there right now, who also own one of those other things. Let's just say that half play on PC or own an Xbox, and half don't. That's an extra potential, 60 million consumers that you can market Game Pass to. And let's say you convince Sony to do it. You say, hey, you can have 30% of whatever you sell, basically. And now you got Game Pass on PlayStation. And now, like, you're kind of bleeding them. Like, they're still getting the 30%, but there's a lot of games that they would have sold through their marketplace, potentially, that they would have sold to somebody that they're not going to sell now because they can just play it on Game Pass, like third-party stuff and things of that nature. It's an interesting thought, because Microsoft has approached this with Sony before, and of course Sony's just like, fuck out of here, like, we don't
get
need
the
that.
hell out of here.
Right. But when you're talking about Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Starfield, Call of Duty, Diablo, potentially World of Warcraft, all of these massive properties which have done a lot of money on PlayStation. Like, I know that Skyrim's a PC game and Fallout's a PC game, but don't get it twisted. They've sold millions and millions of copies on the PlayStation system as well. Deathloop did fantastic. Was a PlayStation and PC exclusive when it came out. That's a lot of revenue that Sony is potentially losing out on. And you'd rather have 30% of something than 100% of nothing. At some point. At some point.
It's that's a very interesting situation.
Yeah.
And and it's shrewd, really.
Yeah.
That's the word for it. Um, I I don't foresee Sony doing a Game Pass.
Oh, they will. I mean, it won't be the same as Microsoft where they're putting Sony games on it day one. I don't think. But Spartacus is already pretty much an open secret at this point. You know what I mean? Like the Sony Game Pass is pretty much like known, but it won't. But I think the only difference will be that they're not going to be putting their new games on it day in, day out.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the value for Game Pass for me, right? Like I don't mind paying, for games that I really want, but it's the games that I really want that I don't have to pay for, that I don't have to do a lump sum for. Like that is what hooks me to Game Pass. So I I can't, I don't foresee myself using Sony's version of it if that's the case. But I don't know, man.
Really, you
This
don't
is
like.
really interesting.
So like, well, hang on with Sony's. So let's say Sony comes out with Spartacus, and they're
Mhm.
like, okay, top tier, because the way they rolled it out, it's like, all right, tier one is just PlayStation Plus, tier two is PlayStation Plus and PS4 and PS5, select PS4, PS5 games that on a rotating schedule, and then tier three is all that plus PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP stuff. Okay,
All right.
so let's say that all in tier is $20 a month, and it includes your PlayStation Plus. Are you buying it?
I would have to see what the other tiers cost. You know me, man. I don't care for going backwards too much when it comes to playing. Uh, One generation behind, I'll still play PS4 games, no problem, no problem. Partly, especially now because I kind of have to,
Mm-hmm.
right? PlayStation 3 games, it's got to be a phenomenal game, man. It's got to be something that's like legendary.
If only Mag was still around. They shut the series down. So.
You start going into PS2 territory, I'm not doing it.
Nah.
I'm not going back. I'm not going backwards when it comes to video games. I understand people really like to and nostalgia and all that. No, man, that's not for me. If it's a value, right? Like if the price increase from the PlayStation Plus, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 tier to the all in tier is $5, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
because it's $5. But if it's anything more than that, I don't. There's no need. I that Nintendo online stuff, I let that lapse because I didn't do anything with it.
Hmm.
I don't go back and play old Nintendo games. Like I just don't. So I don't know. We'll see. Look, I got Game Pass. I use it for the day one games. I use it for brand spanking new games. But there's a lot of games that they have. I just don't play a lot of them.
Weirdly, you know what I use Game Pass for? What I've used it for a couple times already in this short time. I've used it to try games that I'm interested in that I want to play on other platforms, and then I buy. I buy it on the other platforms. Like there's been at least two games that I've played on there that I wanted to try, and just because I wanted to buy it on Switch, but I wanted to make sure that I liked the game before before actually spending money on it on the Switch. I was one step from Eden was one of those games. Like I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass. I'll try it out, see if I dig it, and if I do, then I'll go buy it on sale on the Switch for $13 or whatever it is. So.
I was about to do that with this turn based RPG. I can't remember the name of it. It's like something ascending or something like that.
Mhm.
And it's on the Switch. It's like $40. $40. I was like, nah. And then I saw it came on Game Pass. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it on Game Pass. I don't like playing turn-based RPG. I don't like playing like turn-based RPGs in that art style on a television. Like it just feels better in a handheld. But I said, let me try it. It's a good game. It's not $40 of a good game for me. And so yeah. But if it goes on sale, I know I like it. I'll pick it up on the Switch. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that was kind of the ripple effects. Now, the other thing that was hilarious to me There's more Bobby Kotick news that's kind of flown out there in the wake of all this stuff. So reportedly, Bobby Kotick going through some strife with all the negative press out there about Activision Blizzard. His genius idea to change the narrative of the company was to buy a video game news publication to be able to produce positive spin for Activision. One of the companies he suggested was PC Gamer. The other one made me laugh out loud, and that was Kotaku.
Yeah, I think Bobby doesn't really traffic in the video game website spaces.
Could you imagine how hilarious it would have been if Activision Blizzard had bought Kotaku and told the staff, "Hey, we need you to put out some good spin for your bosses here at Activision Blizzard." I don't know if you would have had like the biggest mass walkout in video game journalism, or if you would have had like this like Deadspin-esque just like shitbagging on the company from afar kind of thing.
I feel like it would have been a walkout, but I feel like it would have been like one just heinous, like just cutthroat article that they would put up, and then they would be like, "This is our last article," and then just end it with "fuck you, Bobby," and then just roll out. And then it would just die. Like, that's hilarious to me. First of all, they all run the same they all pick from the same playbook, don't they?
Yeah.
They all pick from the same fucking playbook. Like, everyone, I don't know this guy's political affiliations, but I think I can guess what it is. Right.
So someone said like watch he'll leave next year or whenever the deal gets done, and then like go to work for the Trump campaign for 2024.
Yeah,
like it would be like the biggest, like the easiest slide over here that you've ever seen.
And this is a move that they would do, right? Like, this is a move that they've done, right? Like, well, people don't like us. Well, we'll start our own news channel and make it red, white, and blue, and just it's. That's hilarious. That's hilarious that they run the same plays over and over, no matter what industry you're in. And second of all, Kotaku, come on, yo.
Would you like to know something funnier? So back in 2010, Kotaku ran an April Fool's Day post where they said that they were bought by Activision Blizzard, and so the site was rebranded to Kotiku. And this was back in 2010. For what it's worth, Activision Blizzard has denied the allegations that they thought about buying Kotaku. So,
oh my God, Kotaku, the site that on the culture section, one of the articles is entitled "Life-size Final Fantasy bust has realistic Sephiroth nipples and they're excited to see you." He was going to buy that. He was going to buy this website, guys. Oh shit.
That's awesome.
Wow, that is hilarious, man.
That's awesome.
Good God.
What else is awesome? QA workers at Raven Software, much beleaguered in the past several weeks, which we talked about a little bit, they have voted to unionize in Activision Blizzard. So their groups voted. 78% of their eligible workers decided that they want to form a union. As a reminder, those folks have been on strike since early December, when Activision Blizzard fired 12 members of the quality assurance team. Now, just because they've voted to unionize does not mean that they are all of a sudden a union. Basically, they're asking Activision Blizzard to voluntarily recognize their union organization. If that doesn't happen, then basically it has to be litigated. And Activision Blizzard put out a really shitty statement around this request. So to say where they said, quote, Activision Blizzard is carefully reviewing the request for voluntary recognition from the CWA, which is the Communication Workers of America, which is a union company essentially that represents a lot of unions in the U.S. And I'm gonna add some stank on this next line. The emphasis is mine, but I feel like it needs to be put there. Which seeks to organize around 36 of the company's nearly 10,000 employees. While we believe that a direct relationship between the company and its team members delivers the strongest workforce opportunities, we deeply respect the rights of all employees under the law to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. So basically, and then they go on to try and tout, like, here's all the awesome things that we've done for this company. How dare they try to unionize against us? They're going to fight this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it'll be interesting because, like, Microsoft can't really say anything about this. So, yeah. but I'd be interested to know where they sit. I'd have to imagine that they are not really want to have a union forming within this company that they are trying to acquire for $70 billion.
Yeah, I can. Again, it's like that meme of Jordan Peele sweating his ass off. That's what Phil Spencer was like during all of these Active Blizzard shenanigans.
Yeah.
And I am pro union. I get it. I don't. I mean, I understand I comprehend where corporations are coming from when they say shit like they don't want unions, but like, nah, like I agree that, unions work. But yeah, man, like what are you thinking if you're Microsoft right now? Like, because you can't come in, let's say the union is recognized, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't come in and dissolve it.
No. Not voluntarily. I mean, you can certainly ask them.
Right. You can
be like, hey, like, we're going to do all these cool things for you, but can you break up the union, you think? And again, like, if you're a worker in that situation, you don't want to give up that collective bargaining power. Especially, like, if you can get something tangible in a short amount of time with that.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes. And we'll see if it spurs more unionization efforts within Activision Blizzard or in other companies around the video game industry. The accusations of crunch have been leveled against a new studio. TT Games, makers of the Lego games of all studios, to have crunch being levied at them. In an article that Polygon put up, more than 20 past and present TT Games staff described working for bosses who reportedly expected their teams to crunch as part and parcel of game production ever since the studio's founding in 1995. Apparently, overtime was supposed to be voluntary and paid, but from 2010, that overtime became mixed with the studio's capped flex time system that could not be cashed in for extra pay or time off. Staff also say they were pressured into crunch, saying, quote, it was a very soft-spoken blackmail, as staff were told not to leave early or let other people down. Several staff members said that 80 to 100-hour working weeks were not uncommon during crunch periods.
I can't imagine working 80 hours in 1 week.
No, I'd be like, I'm fighting a career.
Yeah, like, no. I mean, I understand that I have the luxury of saying that, but like, nah, man. Nah.
I mean, I give all the credit in the world to people in the game industry who have worked through those conditions. You really have to love what you're doing to put up with that level of nonsense. I mean, I used to work in the restaurant industry, and I got burnt out working 60 hours a week. And I understand that, it might be a little different because crunch is, when things are getting down to it, whereas 60, in the restaurant industry, it's 60 hours a week every week, the kind of thing. So, like, I get that, but couldn't imagine that.
I used to work for the United States Patent and Trademark Office. It is literally the worst job I've ever had in my entire life, and I've worked like in the stock room at UPS, like slinging boxes, right? Like that was the most like physically demanding. But the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is the worst, and they come in and they're like, you're making money hand over fist. This is the only place in the government where you can be a GS-15, no competition. Like, all you got to do is meet your quotas. And that's the thing, right? Like, you gotta reject all these patents, and there's a certain number that you have to hit, and the number increases every 2 weeks. And it got to the point where I was pulling about 60 hours a week, like, and that place is in Alexandria. I live in Maryland, and I took the train. Like, I wouldn't get out of there until midnight on days straight, and I couldn't do it, man. Like, I physically couldn't do it, and so I get it, right? Like, I understand the soft spoken blackmail. You know what I mean? Like, that might sound ridiculous, but like, it's not, man. Like, they just do it, and they our soft-spoken blackmail was called quotas, and you have to meet them or you get fired. I got fired for it because I couldn't keep up my quotas, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, man. So yeah, man, like, work-life balance is a real fucking thing, and that was a job I hated. I was just doing it because they were like, you can make a ton of money, and you can if you're really good at it, and if but nah, man. Mm-mm.
Well, and again, so, like I took, like, when I left the restaurant industry, I took a, probably like a 8 to 10% pay cut just to get out, to go somewhere else, is because quality of life is worth more than money sometimes. So, and again, man, a lot of these developers and programmers are making, potentially into 6 figures. It's a lot of money, but man, I don't know if your sanity is worth all that. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Now to get to the news that you guys have all been waiting for. It's this week in NFTs on Dense Pixels. So a couple weeks ago, Troy Baker, famed voice actor, perhaps the most recognizable voice actor in the video game industry, really fucking stepped into it, because he decided to partner with a company called Voiceverse. And I'm going to read his tweet to you verbatim. Because and see if you can identify why the internet came for Troy a couple weeks ago. I'm partnering with Voiceverse NFT to explore ways where together we might bring new tools to creators to make new things and allow everyone a chance to own and invest in the IPs they create. We all have a story to tell. You can hate or you can create. What'll it be?
Come on, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, if you want to get into NFTs, for one, fuck off, right? Like, if you want to get into NFTs, fuck off, right? But like, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's ignorant to it, right? Yes. Because a lot of people are. And he's a minor celebrity, or major celebrity in the voiceover world, and a minor celebrity everywhere else, right? So he doesn't really, like, people just bring stuff to him, and it's just like, all right, sounds like a good idea. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and that's me being generous, by the way.
He did an interview, because he does a regular podcast with like Alana Pierce and Austin Wintory and a few other guys. So he went on there to talk about that. It literally happened like the night, like he tweeted that out this morning, and then he went on there that night.
Yeah, because Alana Pierce is like, yo, fuck NFTs, right? So what?
I mean, he talked to them for like a couple weeks, and he's like, I looked into it and it didn't seem so bad. I'm like, well, then you didn't look into it. Like, if you're sitting here pleading ignorance as to like why NFTs are bad, and like you don't have like a fully formed picture of at least like the pros and cons of the situation before you step into this partnership, like, then you're not doing your due diligence. And again, people like found examples of being able to show him like, this company that you're partnering with is fucking you should not be partnering with them in like mere hours. And he had weeks to make this determination. And like apparently even his agent was like, yeah, I don't know if you really want to do this. Like, is this really a good idea? So and so basically like the company that he's partnering with, like their whole thing is that they're giving voice actors the ability to basically like sell their voice as like an AI like voice thing, so that like if I want to like have Troy Baker in my game and I'm a small indie studio, so I can't afford to pay Troy Baker's salary, I can buy this like AI voice thing with Troy Baker, and I can program, because it's an AI program, I can program him to say whatever I want, and and then I can use, and then Troy Baker is in my game. And I did also say like you could program them to say literally whatever you want, and they have no fucking recourse because they're just like, I'm just putting up my likeness. And people made the point that this is going to hurt voice actors in the video game industry because it's probably a lot cheaper to buy like some programmed AI voice than it would be to hire like a non-known or like a struggling voice actor, which many people compared to like Troy Baker basically like getting in the door and closing it behind him, because Troy Baker will still get hired for fucking voice projects. But it makes it harder for up and comers to get hired if the cost difference is, you know, pretty big between this, you know, an AI voice or actually hiring someone to do voice for you.
Yeah, man. I just what a I can't imagine like walking into something not knowing, especially this, like, because look, I am ignorant to this NFT stuff. Everything that I have seen, I don't like it. It don't smell right to me.
It's because there's nothing to like we talked about it on the show a couple weeks
Right.
ago. It's a fucking it's a fucking scarcity. It's an artificial scarcity scheme. That's all it is.
Yeah, man. I just what a what a good looking dummy. That's what this dude is. And Jay described a woman. Well, Dre described an Instagram model like that. She's like, yeah, she's fine, but she's a bit of a dummy. She's a beautiful dummy. And that's kind of what I'm getting from Troy Baker. Look, I heard part of that interview. I wasn't going to sit there for an hour and listen to him do his mea culpa, but it
was like he apologized for the wording in the original tweet, didn't apologize for getting involved with the company at all. Really tried to thread that needle. Like, oh, I'm just looking for other ways to get people, like, to get creators, like, doing creative things. I'm just like, dude, come on. Like you're fucking making this. You're making it worse.
Yeah, man. It's not. And again, it's the idea of using your voice, using someone's voice. You can get clips of people anywhere, so you don't even have to, like, just like any other NFT. Yeah. Like, right, they're swapping images that from original creators and just making NFTs and profiting off of them. You can do the same with voice actors. You can do the same with literally anybody's voice. There's the more famous, the easier, because there's a bigger pool to pull from when you program your Siri-like device or whatever. And it just, yeah, man, very disappointed in you, Troy Baker.
Yeah, well, he got ratioed to hell when he posted that tweet. Notably didn't take it down though, so there's that.
Yeah, that just tells me he's still in it, man. Like, yeah. All right, dude.
Is it really worth like your reputation? Is it really worth, staking that for this fucking part, for this deal? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, man, I really don't.
So, another fucking wonderful world of NFT is people basically stealing things that don't belong to them in terms of like images and things of that nature and trying to mint them and profit off them. Case in point, a number of gaming YouTubers had their likenesses stolen and turned into NFTs last week. So basically, Let's see. Catakaris, Jim Stephanie Sterling, Alana Pierce all had their likenesses stolen and sold by not them on the NFT uh, marketplace OpenSea.
Nick, yo,
Oh, you got to the Alana Pierce one?
yeah. Look, I like Alana Pierce, man. I think she's very good at what she does. This is fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. God damn. Like
Yeah.
I hope she goes after people, man. That's fucked up, dude.
She's trying. I mean,
Uh,
she at least got them taken down. Um, let's see. Stephanie Sterling, good as ever. I'll read their quote verbatim because I think it's fucking fantastic. Frankly, not surprised that some freeloading leech turned my channel into an NFT. As gross as it is, I find it justifying. I do not consent to this. I do not want this, and it demonstrates everything I said about how disrespectful and exploitative this market is. Scum.
I don't know why people fuck with them, man. Like, like I understand they are a very polarizing figure, but like, especially now when they have kind of come into their own,
Mm-hmm.
like people really like to fuck with them. And
Oh, I used to hate them like crazy back when they worked for Destructoid, but I've come to appreciate them quite a lot in the last
yeah,
in the
like
last couple of years.
yeah, man, and I disagree with them on some things. Not even disagree. I just feel like they take a very extreme point,
Mhm.
but the point is still valid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so I can't hate them, but yeah, like this. Yo, fuck NFTs, yo.
yeah.
Like for real, man. I think that's the long and the short of it.
Well, and to that point, there's a survey that went out in the GDC State of the Game Industry report that they release every year. In the gaming industry, literally publishers are the only people that want this. Gamers don't, as we've demonstrated many times, and developers want nothing to do with it or cryptocurrency as well. According to the survey, 70% of developers that they polled were not interested in NFTs at all, and 72% were not interested in cryptocurrency as a payment tool. I'll read some quotes that were reported back. I think it's a tech looking for a purpose. People will be interested in it as a gamble to make money, but there's not enough of a public demand to be an actual currency. We should collectively agree to ban the use of blockchain-based technologies in our industry because of their hugely negative environmental impact. Another one said, I'd rather not endorse burning a rainforest down to confirm someone, quote, owns a JPEG, end quote. So yeah, like, again, the people that stand to make the most money are the only people that want to get into the grift. I know, pretend to be shocked.
Right. As soon as when the WWE started pumping, promoting John Cena NFTs back when I really had no idea, I was like, well, if they're doing this,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
gotta be a bad
This is
idea.
this is not a good idea, man. This is not a good idea at all.
Yeah. WWE has never found a grift that they're not quickly willing to attach themselves to if they think they can
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
buck from
they
it.
would.
So
Yeah, oh, absolutely. They have no business touting any idea from the heavens if they think they can get something from it. Yeah, god damn it. Fuck NFTs. Fuck big corporations. All big corporations suck. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases.
I knew you were leading into it, so that's why I was. Oh man.
When you go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all your Amazon purchases, I mean, yeah, you help a big company, but like you help a small one too. So yeah, go to densepixels.com/Amazon.
Oh my god. Did you see the clips from the Tonight Show last night with Paris Hilton? and Jimmy Fallon like jerking themselves off over their Bored Ape NFTs that they had?
No, no,
Oh,
and I'm
it's
glad I
it's
did.
if anyone is like even partially interested in NFTs, I implore you to find that clip and watch it. And if you still think that NFTs are a cool thing to check out after watching that 90-second clip, there's no hope for you. So so like
I have some air that I would like to sell you. It could be yours for only $49.99. It's a deal.
there's a bridge in Brooklyn that you could buy too. Um, so we're going back to the post office. We didn't touch it last week because of all the Microsoft stuff. Daniel asked, Brad, you hate Sonic, but what about Snolf, Sonic Golf, which is a thing apparently. Has anyone played any modded games besides Skyrim? Because I'm sure Carrie has at least done that. I have not really played any modded games because I don't play on PC, which is where the majority of the mods happen. The only modded games that I played, Micah, was back in the day when we had Game Genies and we could mod the games via Game Genie codes.
Yeah, when you can break your game that you bought. I used to do that for Street Fighter all the time, and it would just feel like, whoa, look at this character, this new character. Like, no, it's just a blacked out Blanca. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, it's not. They just took all the fucking. They made all the pixels black. Like, it's not. So no, I haven't done that because for the same reason. I generally do not play on PC. The last PC game I played, which wasn't too long ago, was Dragon Age Origins. That's because that's the best way to play that game. But that's it.
Cam asks, the Royal Rumble is less than 2 weeks away. It's less than 1 week away now. And we already know that WWE has opened the forbidden door to bring in your current Impact Women's Champ, Mickie James, and with rumors swirling that a big name will also be walking through the forbidden door for the men's side. How funny will it be when it ends up being Zack Ryder instead of someone really surprising? So yeah, that's I want to talk about that in the first place because so like AEW's been doing this like forbidden door thing where they're like bringing in people that work for other companies, which in the evolution since the territory days in wrestling has been like non-existent essentially. And so that's interesting. And then I was like super interested when WWE was like, "Oh, we're going to bring Mickie James back for the Royal Rumble," and they referred to her on WWE television as the Impact Knockouts champion. Like they for the first time ever, WWE acknowledged that a wrestling company outside of WWE existed, which is insane. So speculation is running amok as to who the men's entrant will be. And that's the thing. Like I think you need to temper expectations. It's not going to be anyone big because you're not going to let someone go over there just to hang around in the match for 20 minutes and then get thrown out of the ring. Like that doesn't really help. Because a lot of people like were speculating like, oh, Jon Moxley is going to come back. No.
Nope.
not in this lifetime. So I think people do need to level set. The Johnny, I think, has it right. The least surprising person they could grab is Chris Jericho because he's always welcome back there whenever he wants to.
Yeah, like I would not be surprised if it is him. One, it's got to be a name that the WWE fans will recognize. You know what I mean? Like it can't be MJF. Who the fuck is that? Right? Like WWE fans don't know who that is. So that limits your choices, right? And I honestly, I understand Impact is a thing. People don't watch Impact. Mm-hmm. Like people listening to this show watch Impact, but like people don't watch Impact. Like if people watched Impact, like Impact would be bigger than it is. The reason they got Mickie James is because she's Mickie James. I don't expect anything spectacular. And even if it is somebody like Chris Jericho, I don't want to see Chris Jericho. Like,
well, here's my question. So obviously, it's going to be a WWE guy. Like they're not going to bring someone back that never worked for the company. I don't think. So here's my question about that. If it's someone that they bring back who's working under a different gimmick than they were in WWE,
right?
Do they go in as their WWE gimmick, or do they go in as whatever gimmick they're currently working? Because I imagine like WWE's going to do it because they want to pop the crowd,
Right.
and I feel
Is it
like
gonna be
yeah,
is it gonna be Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson?
yeah.
Right? Like
Or is it going to be Matt Cardona or is it going to be Zack Ryder? Like who's going to show up
right.
if it's that? So like that's an interesting question to ask. So I almost feel like it has to be a person that is still using like their gimmick name that kind of owns the gimmick, so that they can they can come and go freely as they please. So that's why
Right.
Chris Jericho works, because he's just Chris Jericho. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can't imagine and I honestly I can't imagine like I don't quite frankly, I don't know why Mickey James is doing it. I can't imagine why anyone would
oh,
want to.
I know why Mickey James is doing it, because they probably asked nicely because they don't have enough women wrestlers in WWE.
Well,
If they're not calling up NXT people, which the rumor is they're not trying to do that this year, like they're not trying to bring in a lot of NXT folks for the Rumble, then you have to fill out the roster, and I guess there's only so many legends to go to go around.
I mean, is the payday that big? Like,
Oh, I'm sure it's decent, and plus people also made the point for her, like this is a nice way to kind of wash the bad taste of the whole like trash
oh
bag incident out of her mouth. As far as that being her last interaction with WWE. So
yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. They let her go and sent her belongings with her in a trash bag.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
and I mean we've already seen some AEW WWE partnership. Like AEW let Billy Gunn like go to the Hall of Fame when they put DX in. And I can't remember what the other part of the horse trade was. There was something that went back the other way to AEW. And AEW let Chris Jericho come on the Austin podcast while he was
Yeah.
an AEW employee. So like I feel like that those walls are starting to not crumble, but I think that Vince sees money to be made basically
Yeah.
in kind of loosening those reins a little bit. And look, you can't, like, in this day and age with the internet, with the fact that you're sharing your demographic quite a bit, it's stupid to sit there and sit in a walled garden in that industry and be like, we're the only ones that exist within this garden, like
Yeah.
like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It makes you look dumb,
Yeah,
Like, it just doesn't it doesn't yeah, it just doesn't work. It would be like football teams not acknowledging other football teams that they're not playing right now.
right.
Like
Yeah,
it just is it's weird.
honestly, I think Adam Cole would be a great choice. I mean,
I think
my Adam Cole fandom aside, like I think he would be a solid pick because he's someone like he's working as a heel anyway, so like he'll pop the crowd. But if when he gets knocked out, like you don't care because like he's a heel, so so like he's
yeah.
getting his comeuppance or whatever. So
I think that's really like the best choice they have,
hmm
right? Someone who can actually like go like Chris Jericho. Like I got nothing but respect for Chris Jericho, the wrestler, but you know he's getting up there, man. And Royal Rumbles now have been, I always love the Royal Rumble, but Royal Rumbles of late have been really cheating and just really like people just kind of sitting. First, it was just like, oh, I'm just going to sit in this corner for 15 minutes. Now they're just ducking under the top rope and just trying to do shit on the outside. And it's like, nah, man, like that's bullshit, man. Like, that's not entertaining, man. So yeah, we'll see. Look, I'm still looking forward to it. I always look forward to every Royal Rumble. We shall see. And it's on a Saturday. Thank fucking God.
yeah. And then Cam asked for our Rumble predictions. That the problem is I haven't been watching enough to know who's getting the shine right now.
So I haven't been watching, but I do watch like wrestling news
hmm
shows on YouTube just to keep up. It's much better than watching 3 hours of a spelling bee and
I actually
and
heard that segment was pretty good though.
was it?
Yeah, because apparently Chad Gable is doing a great job at like channeling like this like smarmy like Kurt Angle esque character who you're really excited to see get his comeuppance all the time.
Okay. Last time I saw him,
Yeah,
he said something. He said something really funny. He was like, the crowd were booing him, and he was just like, "Don't do that. Don't boo education." Don't boo education. And that's just funny to me, man. That's just funny to me. Look, there are rumors that Ronda Rousey's is going to be in the Rumble. If that happens, she will win the Rumble to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. That's the most WWE thing to do by far. If not, I would like to see Bianca Belair so that she can have her WrestleMania match. So look, hey, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with a repeat, especially because I want to see her and Becky Lynch have an actual match.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing WWE, babyfaces are always good for the chase. They're never good as champ. So they would have Becky beat her in an actual match at WrestleMania. Look, I've come to terms with that. Fine with it. That's who I would like to win. Mm-hmm. For the men, I would like Big E to win. Just because I like Big E, and you can do again the chase, and he would and in this case I would want him to win at WrestleMania. Who I actually think that will win the Rumble? Mm-hmm. I have no clue. I have no idea.
Yeah. Which is interesting because that's usually fun because usually it's very clear leading in who the guy is going to be, and so the fact that there isn't one is nifty. So that's always fun because it's not very predictable. So
yeah,
like the past couple of years, especially on the men's side, it's been incredibly predictable in terms of like who they were slotting to who they were pointing in the direction of potentially winning. So
yeah. I can't remember who won last year.
Edge.
I think Drew won.
It was
Edge won last year?
Yeah, Edge won last year. Drew won the year before.
Drew won the year before. I remember thinking to myself, well, whoever eliminates Brock Lesnar, that's going to win. That's your winner. And
Brock Lesnar's not in it. So, you mean
no,
you mean
when Drew won.
I got you.
When Drew won it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, but I have a feeling like this is going to be like 5 minutes and just two big slabs of very sweaty meat.
I don't know. There's a lot of fucking. I don't know if hype's the right word, but there's a lot of anticipation for this match just because of the history.
Yeah,
and, like Bobby Lashley talked about it for a long time. So
yeah, I feel the anticipation. I just want them to put on a really good match. I really hope they put on a really good match.
Now, what's weird is the Roman Reigns like Seth Rollins thing because both guys are definitely fucking heels, and so like it's just like like it's weird because. You really don't want to cheer for either of them because both of them are so good at being dicks that it's not really fun to cheer for either of them. So
right.
So I don't know how that works, but we'll see. Like I said, it's weird times, and I really have not been watching at all. So I'm not the expert right now to talk about these things. But that's it for our show. Again, you can ask us questions in the post office by going to densepixels.com/fans, where you can also chat with the communitariat for the Royal Rumble this weekend. Again, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts and the other TNP shows as well while you're there. And follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/densepixels. You can also follow our individual accounts. I'm Dense Pixels Brad, Carrie Summits Carrie, Terrence is Apparition 410, Micah does not stream. So
I don't stream. It's dense. It's dense black nerd. I don't stream. I don't stream.
I mean, the three of us barely do either. So like it's not fair to malign you specifically, but we at least might get on there occasionally. So yeah, but you should still follow us. Because that's the cool thing to do. So that's it for us this week. Just hold on to your butts for more NFT news next week because I'm sure it's going to be coming. It's going to be awesome. NFTs, baby. We'll see you.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.